Welcome to my video on the geometry of a circle. First, let's draw a circle. We're going to start talking about some of the parts of a basic circle. I use my compass here, trying to get a good circle drawn that we can work with. Okay, so there's our circle. Now let's start labeling the parts of it. The center point there is called the center, and the outside area is called the circumference. This is the length around the outside of this circle. Now if we draw a line that intersects the circle out to the circumference, intersects the center, and this is going to be of length d. It's called the diameter. So d is the diameter, and half the diameter is this radius. That's from the center out to the circumference. A circle is equal distance out from the center. That's how we define a circle. So the radius is equal to half the diameter. And so that's going to be this distance from the center point out to the circumference, or the edge of the circle. This is also called a radius. Now if we draw just a general, let's label this AB, 2 points on the circumference. Now if we draw a line segment there, that is going to be called a chord. So a chord goes from 2 points on the circumference of the circle. It's a line segment. Now if we wanted to draw just a general line like this that intersects the circle in 2 points, that's what we call a secant line. So that's going to be S-E-C. That's a secant line. It intersects the circle in 2 places. It's just a line. It could be parallel or in any direction, really. So what we want to do now is let's calculate this length around the outside, which is circumference. That is just going to be equal to 2 pi d. It's just the quantity pi, which we approximate as 3.1415, on and on and on. It's a rational number. The circumference, the length of this area, the length of this line that forms a circle, is just pi times the diameter. Now the area of the circle is just going to be pi times the radius squared. And that would be all the area inside here. That would be in square units, like millimeters squared, or centimeters squared, or feet or inches squared, whatever your units you're using. So that's some of the basic parts of a circle. One other one we're going to list here. This is going to be a tangent line. Now I'm going to draw this perpendicular the best I can, but I'm going to label this as a right angle. So if we draw a line perpendicular to the radius, that means the right angle, that's going to be called a tangent line. That doesn't have to be, it can be anywhere along here. So that's a line that's going to be perpendicular to a radius line. That's a tangent line of a circle. Now let's look at another circle here and label some points on it. What we're going to look next is going to be called a sector. Draw my circle again. There we go. Not a bad looking circle. There's our center again. Now if we draw 2 radius lines out to the circumference of the circle. They don't have to be at right angles. They can be at any angle. And then we angle this. So this is going to be a radius R, angle theta. We're going to label this distance from here to here. Let's call that S. That's that linear distance along the circumference from this radius intersection there to this radius intersection here. And so we know that distance is just equal to the radius times theta, but in the case where the radians, or the angle theta, is in radians. So there's a requirement for that. It's not in degrees. So degrees has, a circle has 360 degrees or 2 pi radians. So that's going to be a radian measure. Now, if we want to find the area of this sector, and now we're talking about sectors, they're parts of a circle, defined by 2 radius as an angle. The area of that is going to be 1/2 theta r squared. I hope you learned a little bit about the geometry of a circle and some of the basic parts. If you did, give me a like and thumbs up. Thanks for watching.